All right, you guys, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show. As you know, this is the number one place to find exclusive conversations, ideas, and the practical methods that help you build a business that supports your life and doesn't consume it. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga. And if you've built something, maybe something successful, but it still feels there's a quiet relentlessness or restlessness underneath it all, and you just can't put a finger to it. I think this episode is going to be the one for you because today we're going to be talking about how the difference between making money and making meaning is confusing so many people and keeping them up at night. And I know you're going to want to share this episode with a friend who's obviously doing well on paper, but they might be asking deeper questions in private. And as you know, before you do that, make sure you subscribed to the Online Prosperity Show so you do not miss out on the value that's about to come up next. Now, I'm really excited about my next guest because today we're joined by none other than Harland Merriam. Now, Harland, welcome to the show.
Great to be here, and thank you for what you do as you provide a way for people to enter into conversations and learn from others and yourself. You're doing a great service. Thank you.
Absolutely. And speaking of great service, well, thank you for your service in all that you have done and what our our listeners are going to, learn about your journey and things like that. So without further ado, for those that are joining us for the very first time, we've got Harland Merriam, who is a real estate investor, an entrepreneur, coach, author, and what he wonderfully calls a repurposed pastor. Now, Harland has spent more than 50 years helping people navigate faith, work, leadership, and purpose. And he served as a pastor in the Army Reserve, as an Army Reserve chaplain, a police chaplain, a university chaplain, and now this day and age, if you do happen to come across him, he now helps entrepreneurs pursue significance as well as success through his mastermind groups, coaching. He also does real estate investing and his book, Profit Seeks a Purpose, which we're going to be talking about. And it's all about how to make money without losing your soul. Now, Harland, welcome once again. I mean, I could go on and talk about things that I'm not even qualified to talk about. Tell us a little bit about your journey. You seem to have been in all these spaces, but maybe before we talk about all these accolades and who you were, just take us a little bit back. Who, or should I say, what did young Harland believe success sort of looked like, and where did it all start from?
Yeah, success as a child was doing well in school, making friends, and providing leadership where I could. That I enjoyed that, whether it was a pickup baseball game on a field nearby or in school, eventually as a student body president in school. Success you could measure, grades you got, the number of friends you had, the people that were following you. Success then turned into how much money you made, delivering papers or mowing lawns growing up, jobs in school. So that's kind of where success was for me.
Absolutely. There was some sort of scoreboard, whether visible or invisible, that you actually had to, appease and things of that nature. And obviously, with that sort of background, was there some sort of an expectation, based on the people that were around you, either family or society, for you to hit those numbers, so to speak?
I'm not sure it was from others. It's probably internally to hit numbers. From others, I discovered a different measure of success, and that is serving people. my parents, my grandparents, other people really taught me it's not so much about me as it is the others that are right in front of me. Again, I'm thinking back right now to back, I mean, this is last century when I was growing up, watching my mom and my dad just notice things and take care of. Both of them were educators. So, they had a different measure of success than I guess the culture had or what I thought was important.
Absolutely. And I think from that sort of petri dish of your growth, that would have maybe explained why you went on to become a pastor yourself and become a chaplain in the Army Reserve and police chaplain, and also with the university, was that need to be of service. And maybe you can walk us through how you entered into any of those realms and what they made of you at that time.
I did not plan to be a pastor. In fact, if I had a top 10 and a bottom 10 list, it was on the bottom 10 of things I never wanted to do. But I was challenged, one by a colonel in the military that didn't say, "We want you in the military." But he said, "I see some things in you, and we need good chaplains in the military. Have you thought about that?" And then I had the opportunity, after graduating with a math and physics degree, college from Stetson, to go and test it out, to go to seminary where they train ministers. Boy, was I out of my league, but it took. And I've had a wonderful career, if you want to call it that. 40 years of active in it and now repurposed as a businessman now.
Absolutely. And thank you once again for the service that you served there. Now, you did mention maths and physics. That's a lot of a left brain, type of undertaking. And, I would want to venture and think being a pastor is very right brain in the way
Yes.
that everything works out. Now, could you maybe talk about the crossover, because you're either or, especially in the world that I know and we live in.
And I think I've used that left brain quite well, being organized
Mm.
as I care for people. I realized that I had to learn two new languages in seminary, Hebrew and Greek. Whoa. And the math and physics that laid out kind of there's an order to thing and there's a system for things that it
Mm.
really helped when I was treading water trying to keep up with things during that graduate program. I do think it's helped me a lot, particularly in these last 10, 11 years here, as I've made the transition and have been listening to people, particularly very successful entrepreneurs. I think both sides of my brain help with that.
Mm.
Dominant, that's probably come through practice of caring for people. But the other one there, maybe it's a recessive still, is to be able to know how to really help people better than just caring.
Absolutely. Now, Harland, I mean, obviously, a lot of military or ex-military members that I've sort of spoken to, there's a bit of a difference between somebody who's in the military and a civilian,
Mhm.
and,
Mhm.
people that would have been in the position that you were in, even though it wasn't as much, maybe I wouldn't know, but maybe in front of the battlefield or things of that nature. But there's that military that has been instilled in you. Was it a difficult transition after the 40 years for you to now start walking amongst us mere mortals?
The military are mere mortals. We wear a uniform and we have a big mission, but we're just people as well. I guess the piece again with the military is that you are watching out for the person on your right and your left. I remember showing up late for a formation one morning, and Colonel Tedderton, we call him Colonel T, like Mr. T, he kind of jumped all over me in the way of saying to me, people were counting on you. If we're to take a hill, we have to take that hill because the people on our right and our left are counting on us to be there. And that goes right down to the individual soldier in the foxhole, if you will, or on the artillery battery, if you will. Everybody's got to do their job. So we watch out for each other. You might say that we did it to serve country, but when it comes down to it, we're serving that person that's right there with us.
That's a different kind of way of being, because if you and I were in the same industry, yeah, I would make sure your ads don't reach my clients before mine did. So with that sort of identity, you did that for 4 decades, and obviously people now know you as pastor or chaplain. Was it
Mhm.
difficult then stepping into the identity of a business leader, where this is a zero-sum game in most places?
Yes. When I retired, and that's what we call it here in the States, retired, go play golf, go on the beach, go do whatever you want to do. That's not me. And so I repurposed all that experience to engage with other businessmen and women, buying a 129 unit apartment complex with two other guys, entering COVID while we owned that thing, which scared the dickens out of us. And now spending a good bit of time engaged with small groups of other entrepreneurs who are seeking to align their values, their faith, who they really want to be with what they're doing. That they're not just doing things to make money, but they're doing things to make a difference. Profit is a wonderful thing, and it answers a lots of questions. How am I going to pay the bills? But purpose really answers the deeper questions in life. And I guess that's where I look at that intersection of those two.
Absolutely. You see, you were talking about scoreboards earlier, and obviously, for the entrepreneur that's here today who has revenue, clients, assets, or maybe even admiration, because that's what we
Mhm.
do all of these things for. It's, tick a box, do a TEDx talk, be on the online prosperity show, write a book, and all of those things that just put you in a position that at least something is
Mhm.
functioning. Maybe it's akin to the army, getting your stars or whatever,
Yes.
getting that salute and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, it all feels empty from what I know and from what a lot of people are sort of starting to then gather. I mean, Elon Musk just became a trillionaire, and yet he's still going on podcasts. You would think he doesn't even need to talk to anyone. So what do you want people to know before they assume something is wrong with them, especially when it comes to ticking the boxes?
Yeah, again, the book that I wrote, I have a copy right here, Profit Seeks Purpose. It's that profit realizes it's not enough eventually. It does an awful lot for Musk and for the rest of us. But eventually it asks these deeper questions. It's a modern business fable. It's a story of a guy who closed on the biggest deal of his life and should be celebrating, and his staff is celebrating. Everybody is calling him up and congratulations. But he wakes up in the morning almost asking, is that all there is? What's next? We pursue things that don't fully satisfy. Eventually, he asks the question, not what's next, but who am I to be? He's been pursuing things that don't ultimately satisfy. It seems like they will. It seems like that money will. It seems like that big house will. It seems like that hearing people congratulate you will, but there's more. I think that when those questions come up, they're an invitation to go deeper in life and to embrace them. What he finds out is he has a hard time doing that alone, even with his wife. But he gets in a small group of some other peers and develops a space where he can pursue those deeper dreams and deal with those drains on his life that keep him from the relationships that mean the most, from being turned in on himself. And that's what he really wants. He just didn't know it until he embraced those questions.
Maybe we will jump into those questions a little bit further, but I don't know, maybe we're living in a completely different world. Business is business, and profit is the point. So some would say I will start pursuing that purpose once I've achieved or I've ticked all the boxes, when I've found all the things, and now the bar has been set high. I mean, you have to have 5 companies that are all listed on the stock exchange, and you have to be a trillionaire, and all your companies must be all like top in the industry and things of that nature. What would you say to that?
I would say I've walked alongside as a pastor, particularly in communities,
Mm.
people who have waited till the end and said, I wish I had started earlier, a deeper life, not just the money, not just ticking the boxes, but spending time with people, making a difference in my community. I found people that ultimately get really sad and upset with themselves that they put themselves where they didn't enjoy life and didn't benefit from the people that were right there. If they're married, the spouse, if they have children, their parents, their brothers and sisters, even the people that work with them, they were living on the surface of those things. And they, at the end of their life, say, "Ah, I wish I hadn't lived on the surface all these years." Does that make sense?
Completely. You see, now Holland, fish don't see the water that they swim in. To them, it's just,
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean? You
yeah.
try and tell a fish that you're in water, they'll be like, no, this is what the world is like. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
So in that frame of reference, you would know that everybody who's on the entrepreneurial sort of roller coaster doesn't quite see that what they're doing, like you're saying, they're tethering on the edge of
Yeah,
losing everything up until they've been
yeah.
served with those papers. And now they realize, wait a minute, I thought everything was okay. I did go home at least once a week. Isn't that enough?
Yeah,
So
you go out. I ate supper with you tonight. I was thinking about something else. I didn't really spend time with you as a family, but I was at the table. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So what does losing your soul actually look like in modern business? Is it something that you can
It's
read in an entrepreneurial blog, or does it just happen
no,
quietly?
uh, soul is a religious term. It's a biblical term if you want there, but what it really means is your real self, the person you're created to be. And that's more than checking boxes. And that's more than just accumulating wealth and accolades. Your real self, you're here for a bigger purpose. Those are great and those are needed. And you're helping people by providing employment. You're helping people by getting widgets that they need as customers. But I believe, and I think an awful lot of people that I talk to and have been with over the years realize there's more than that, that my purpose has to do with people more than the profit. And the purpose can be aligned with that. The masterminds that I facilitate are highly successful entrepreneurs that struggle with this, not being home, not watching their kids grow up, and realizing I don't want my life to keep being that way. Find themselves alone at the top of their organization, and they don't really have anybody they can be honest with, and they need somebody that'll listen. They need a safe space to be in so that they can discover who they really are.
I mean, you've been in the army.
Hmm.
There's a philosophy called peacetime leader and a wartime leader.
Hmm.
Peacetime leader is maybe somebody who can, you know, tell the troops to go and ask the villagers if the enemy has walked past, and they'll come back home, with some fruits because the villagers were so nice. And there's a wartime leader where everything is at stake. Like you said, you're going up a hill,
Yeah.
everybody's in the trenches, and enemy fire hasn't been relentless, and you've been just trying to protect base for the past 1 hour. None of that is going to happen to a lot of people anyway, but we experienced something like that during COVID. And I don't think that's a time to let go and just try and find your purpose when everything is at stake and everything is everywhere. I mean, what would you say when times like that show up?
They go together. They're not separate from each other. Wartime and peacetime are there all the time for us. And those that are in business are at war in that sense every day. One of the people that I was with this week on our Tuesday morning group gathering, our mastermind, got the biggest, he's in flooring and he's established a new business in flooring. And he got a job in a town that's 5 hours away from where he lives, and he didn't have a crew there, and he just worried about it. But he also just relaxed back in to say that I've done the things and I trust that it's going to come together, and it did. So somehow he was able to find a peace in the middle of the worry, and that came for him I'm a person of faith. I'm a Christian myself, and I was a pastor and helped people with that. That's what he found, is that his faith helped him get through a challenge at work. I guess he realized, what did he realize? He realized that he could trust that he had done what he needed to do, and it came together. It doesn't always come together, but it came together for him. And a crew was able to be put together, and the flooring was able to get there, and for a very large client, get installed, both from what he had done and from bigger things in life that are there all around us. And I guess that piece, that there's a bigger set of forces out there at work than just me, allows us to step into the grind every day.
Mm, absolutely, because you naturally never dealt cards that you can't handle, and I obviously believe so many people worry about things that might not even happen, and that's just, I think people say that's wasted imagination.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I can
So,
I can.
somebody told me the story of somebody sending somebody to say, "Start worrying. Details will follow." And then your imagination goes wild. Yeah. Yeah, worry is energy that could be better spent.
Absolutely.
Uh,
And I must suppose, I mean, you running masterminds, you coming across a lot of people from all walks of life, and they have all, manner of stories that you now have to be put back to your original place of being a chaplain instead of a business owner. Like, yeah, does that sort of happen to you most of the time then, when you have to actually stop and actually just listen to what it is that they're doing, and what has that also done for you as a person to be able to be that for others?
Yeah, it for me it's both. You're talking a while, or asking a while back, about that transition out of being a pastor for 40 years and now moving into a businessman now. That took me a while. It was an identity crisis in a sense there, that happens in transitions in life with the university students that are 21 years old. And if you'd ask them who they were today, they'd say, "I'm a student." But when they graduate, now who am I?
Mm.
And I struggled with that. And then I realized this is just where I am now. I am in a marketplace with people, and I am here to serve them. However, an investor, to make sure that I've communicated with them why this investment will be a good one for them as they join with us on a venture. With people on the staff in the apartment complex there, that I need to use my best skills there to help them do their job and manage the asset that we have together. For the residents in the complexes, that they become more than just doors or numbers or income sources, and they're real people with real lives. And when we serve them in that way, then the revenue actually gets better than if we just treat them as numbers. So I guess it is both. And I guess in the masterminds, it's trying to help entrepreneurs out there, business leaders, CEOs, learn that it's both.
Mm.
The bottom line is there in both.
I like that, because it is a lonely journey and it's a lonely road for a lot of people. And especially, like, I don't know about you, but I'm working right now. I'm
Mhm.
at work, and it's a completely different way of being, where if I step outside that door, my wife is probably just thinking I just talk to people on the internet, and that that's what I do. So many entrepreneurs are obviously surrounded by people in the context of what I'm talking about, but they still feel alone, and things of that nature. What do masterminds bring to the table that an ordinary round of golf wouldn't?
Interesting image there, a round of golf. Usually on a round of golf with three other people,
That's a
but
mastermind.
it can be. I think people benefit more from me in the mastermind than from me in a one-on-one coaching session, because they have access now to not just me and, say, my mind, but that we're walking together, and they have peers, and the peers have gone through things, and the peers will support them in things and challenge them in things. We create scary but safe space. 'Cause scary in the sense that we're going to talk about anything here, and we're going to be honest with each other here. We're not just here to show and put on our Sunday best and look good or post this on social media that's only the good side of our life. We're here to be real with each other and to really help each other. Here's an old army slogan, be the best you can be in business. Solve that problem that you're facing, that challenge with your family. Shape your life there with your family. When you're there with them, you're present with them. And in your community, that you have your eyes open to what's going on at plant or the apartment complex that you own, or with the customers you're trying to serve, that you're just there with them and you're aware of what's going on in their life. Best businesses pay attention to the people that are there,
I like that because
not just the spreadsheet.
all your customers are 100% people, all
Yes.
your employees are 100% people, and if
Yes.
you're not paying attention to people, then that spreadsheet is going to be the loneliest place ever.
Yeah, and to have, I just find in the masterminds that the people that are willing to step into this scary but safe space that we create, they realize they don't have time for it, but they block the time for it because it's so different and powerful for them in their life to just be real and to be with real people and to struggle together with this battle that we're all in life. This battle with our teenage kid that comes home with alcohol on his breath,
Yeah.
or this battle with a daughter who, when she draws a picture of the family, you're over on the side and you realize, something's not right.
Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine. You see, I blame Hollywood for all of this, Harland. I mean, hear me out a little bit. You've watched the Western movies where, the Lone Ranger just rides into a town and everybody's having lunch, drinking, laughing, and he walks in, and then there's that whole he orders a whiskey shot, and then by the time he looks behind him, everybody's waiting behind him, wanting to pick a fight with him. And he puts down his whiskey, or maybe he necks his whiskey shot, puts it on the counter, turns around, and obliterates the whole pub, and then he walks out, rides into the sunset. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs have, taken that on board and say maybe that's the way we got
Yeah.
to run this business, because the whole purpose of being a purpose-driven business means being one. To a lot of people, it sounds like you don't have to have a lot of ambition. You don't have to look at your profit, and somehow you become soft. Can you maybe
Yeah,
debunk that for?
that's the worry people have as we start talking, that I'll be soft, that I won't make the money, I won't be able to keep my businesses, they'll go flat. I have found in my experience, and I have too many years of that now, or maybe just the right amount of years of that now, to have the wisdom to see that both can be there. I know a guy who has built a multi-million-dollar business now that he tried to do it alone, but he's realizing that he has a space in that business that's different than the others. So he's learned to just affirm the sub CEOs, if you want, the next levels of his companies here, and just spend time taking care of them, still being the vision for the total business here, but he's finding that he's taking time to take care of these folks, that his businesses just get better and better than when he was just trying to do it alone, be that lone ranger. I can do it myself. He has realized, and his business is just taking off now, over the last number of years, because of that mindset shift that he had, that I
Hmm.
don't need to be that gunslinger,
You
if you
know,
will.
now,
Yeah.
now they say if you want to go, what do they say? If you want to go further, I mean, if you want to go far, you go alone. But if you want to go further, you go together. Now,
With
for the
others.
person
Yeah.
who's watching this, who's, I mean, obviously successful, and I'm hoping that's the majority of the people that watch these
Yes.
episodes. Otherwise, we
Yes.
might as well stop doing them. What's the point?
Yeah.
They are successful, but maybe they sense that, they are, how do I put this? They're meant to build something much more meaningful. They feel that
Yeah.
within themselves, right?
Yeah.
What's
There's
the
an itch. Yeah.
what's what's the one sort of honest maybe question they should ask themselves this week that will then become, say, like a prompt for them to actually start, taking the temperature of where they're at?
I think the deep question is not what's next, but who is next? Who am I becoming? Who am I going to become? Who do I want to become? Who am I meant to become? It's really a who question here, which is relational and personal. It's taking the time, pausing a bit, and asking that question. Maybe it's past. Who have I become? This mean boss, this focused only on numbers, this tied up in spreadsheets kind of person? Or is that who I really want to be? Or do I want to be somebody who people say, boy, he is good at what he does, and he's really good with us. He's real, he is skilled, he cares, he takes time for what's important, like his family, and he helps us do that too. If they're employees, if they're customers, boy, he's got a good widget here that he's providing for me. He really asked the right questions to make sure that this is right for me versus just getting the next sale. That makes a difference. That's where you really build customers. That's where you get the referrals, not just manipulating somebody into buying your next thing. Who do you want to become? Who do you want to be? Which one of those do you want to be?
That's an identity that somebody has to, like you're saying, who are you becoming? You know what I mean? Like you are not necessarily the, say maybe you're in the army, or maybe you're a student. Let's use the example that you've used before. You're not a student after 4 years. Who are you becoming? And
Yes.
and what do you identify as, in the grand scheme of things?
Mhm.
So in my culture, we have, I don't know if you've ever heard of this concept called Ubuntu, where right now I am a podcast host because you are sitting on the other side of me as a podcast guest. As
Mhm.
soon as we stop recording this, I become a husband to my wife, I become a dad to my kids. You become that which you are to other people. I can't walk around my house with a microphone, sticking it in my kid's face, saying, speak louder so I can
Yeah.
record you, because that's not who I am to them.
Hmm.
And I think people have a very difficult time switching between those identities, because you're the
Right.
CEO at work, but then at home, you're the guy that takes out the garbage. And I'm
Yes.
talking out of
Yeah. I think Zig Ziglar, Zig Ziglar, you heard of Zig Ziglar.
help enough people get what they want. You
Yeah.
get that which you want and more.
Yeah, his wheel of life kind of thing with his coaching says there are these spokes in life, and right now you've got to be the best podcast host you can be, and I've got to be the best guest I can be. And then the wheel turns around and there's another spoke there, and now I got to be the best dad I can be, the best husband I can be. And now you step outside your house, now I got to be the best neighbor I can be. And then I still have to, that wheel's going to come around and I got to be the best CEO of my business that I can be now in that. So it's not a matter of life balance per se, as it is 100% where you are right now. And the wheel's coming around and you're ready for the next spoke that's coming up and you're fully present there with it. I guess that's where who I am all of these things. I'm a businessman. I've got investments I've got to take care of. I'm a mastermind facilitator. They're people that I sit with and help them as peers. We're all peers in the masterminds. I'm not a teacher in the mastermind. I'm a peer with them. We're all helping each other do what we need to do and be who we need to be and explore that together. And I'll head downstairs with my wife in a few minutes and I'll go out on a walk later this morning with some guys just to spend some time together outside in nature. And in every case, I'll just be present there. Does that make sense to your audience here that we carry all these with us, but when I'm at the dinner table, I need to be at the dinner table with my family
I like
and
that. Not
not noodling a business thing or my next call or sitting there on the iPhone in front of me. Be present.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, you have been dangling your book in front of us, and I think it gives people a way to walk alongside the characters
Yes.
and just go on and confront some of the deeper questions that they might have without feeling like somebody is speaking at them. And that's what I like about what you've created there. Where can people get a copy of Profit Seeks
Yeah.
Purpose?
Profit Seeks Purpose is on Amazon, of course. And just search it that way, Profit Seeks Purpose. Look for that and get a copy. And as you said, walk alongside. It's a story, and I wrote it as a story rather than a set of bullet points for getting purpose in your life. It's a story about how do you discover your purpose while you're making the profit in life? How do you discover the deeper purpose of why you're there, who you are, what this life is about? I'm also looking, and maybe some of your folks there, and profitseekspurpose.com is a good way to get in touch with me. Just the book title.com is a website. And then there's a contact form. I'm looking to have 3 half-hour conversations with people that are in the midst of this as a research project right now to see if in 3 conversations people can get a sense of what are they dreaming, what are they really hoping, and what's getting in the way of them doing that, and what's that next step that they might take to move into that, and see if this kind of concept I have right now really works with people. So I'm looking for that. So if somebody just goes to the website and looks at profitseekspurpose.com and makes a contact with me, maybe we'll schedule those 3 just half-hour conversations that might help them take that next step in their life as well. And others, so many have been reading the book and finding it so helpful to be given permission to ask these deeper questions in their life, because profit's a good thing, but purpose is so much more, so much more.
Absolutely. I'll make sure that I put all those links in the show notes so that people can find their way to your website there, and maybe they might actually sign up to those half-hour interviews
Yeah, they're gifted sessions here because I need to keep discovering and how people take that next step they want to take in their life.
Absolutely. Now, Harland, I mean, obviously, your life story and your experience have so much value for a lot of people that were watching and listening to this. And I can't thank you enough for the time that we spent on the call right now. But it would be remiss for me to not ask. I mean, you've been a pastor, you've been an Army Reserve chaplain, you've been a police chaplain, university chaplain, real estate investor, coach, author. And who have you become after being on the Online Prosperity Show today?
I really appreciate you. You leaned into this. Your audience sees that. Thank you. And for me personally, who have I become just in this time that we've spent together here? I've become more aware in the questions you ask. Questions are so important in life. The questions you've asked, I've become more aware of why I do what I do and who I want to be. So on this walk this morning, or tomorrow's morning's mastermind, or what I'm going to be doing over the weekend, I'm just going to lean in like you've leaned in here and be with people and help them with my presence to take their next step in their life as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see what people are going to do with this information today. And thank you so much. I mean, you actually reminded us that profit is important, but it's never meant to be that which is on the scoreboard. You know, when we started, we're looking at all those scoreboards that you were taking before, but now it just doesn't seem like it's relevant anymore. So I think that's my biggest take from that.
Wonderful. All the best to you and your family and all the people who have been watching and listening. Just embrace those questions that might be there for you.
Absolutely. And for those that are watching right now, if this episode just helped you realize that success is not only about what you build, but also who you become while you build it. It's who you're becoming that is of utmost importance. I encourage you to share this with somebody who needed to hear this message today. I mean, obviously, you know, you might have it all, but some of the times you might be questioning yourself, that is the life that you're building the one that you actually want to lead? And once you can answer that question, maybe it would be, you know, the best day of your life because you start living on purpose. And if you have, you know, time, go check out the website that is in the show notes. where you can learn a little bit more about what Harland has been writing, and maybe jump onto some of these masterminds and learn how you too can be, do, and have a happier existence. Until next time, help me thank Harland. Bye for now.